Imagine this. You've been out for a while having an amazing time with friends, but when you get back home, there's that one text from him. Not a usual, hey, what's up? But one that seems different. He's reaching out, thinking about you. You haven't been chasing him. You haven't been asking for his attention. And yet there he is, missing you, wondering where you've been. Intrigued, right? Well, get comfortable because today we're unlocking the secret to making a man miss you. No, it's not about playing games. But first, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more tips to level up your love life. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Now, I know that many of you might be thinking, what if my last relationship failed? What if things feel like they're falling apart? Let me reassure you, there is no failure, only lessons, growth, and opportunities. The universe has a funny way of shifting things around so that what's meant for you will always come back. Napoleon Hill said, what the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve. And that includes your love life. If you're envisioning a meaningful connection, the universe will help you manifest it. It's about tapping into your own natural power, understanding your worth, and knowing how to build emotional connections without the need to chase or beg. Today, we're going to dive into 3 surprising things that make a man miss you. And trust me, it's not what you might think. We'll explore the psychology of attraction using the wisdom of great minds like Napoleon Hill to guide us in creating that magnetic energy that draws him in without effort. Ready to become unforgettable? Let's go. But before we get into it, I have a fun task for you. Type, "He's missing me already," in the comments to claim this power for yourself. Show him, the universe, and yourself that you're ready for this next level of connection. Now, sit tight. Things are about to get interesting. Number 1, understanding the power of emotional space. All right, let's talk about something that can really turn your love life around: emotional space. Now, before you start thinking that emotional space sounds like you're giving him the cold shoulder or pulling away completely, let me clear that up right now. It's not about playing games or pretending to be distant. It's about creating a healthy emotional distance that lets him miss you. Think of it this way: your phone. If you're constantly charging it, it's going to overheat and wear out, right? But if you let it recharge, it lasts longer. It has a balance. And that's exactly what happens in relationships. If you're always available, always texting, always on his mind, eventually you become more like a default. You don't give him room to miss you. Just like a battery, too much charge will drain the connection. This is the same for him. He needs time to recharge, to reflect, to think about you. When you're constantly present, the magic wears off quickly, but when you give him space, you allow the attraction to grow. The space between your interactions, those little moments of pause, they create curiosity. They let him yearn for you and your energy again. This idea ties perfectly into the wisdom of Napoleon Hill. He said, "The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does." Let that sink in for a second. It's not just about the effort you put in, but how you add value. When you create that emotional space, you're not constantly over-delivering. You're allowing the value of your presence to grow. The more you give him room to miss you, the more he'll come back with a greater desire, with a deeper appreciation for you. Real-life example time. Picture this. You just had an amazing date night. Maybe it was the best one in a while. Everything was perfect. You shared laughs. Maybe you even had a little deep conversation. You felt that spark. Now, you could text him right away, asking him how he's doing or trying to keep the conversation alive. But no. Instead, you decide to give him a little time to process it all. You hold off for a day or two. Suddenly, he's wondering why you haven't texted. He's replaying the night in his mind, thinking, where is she? What's she up to? He starts to feel the space you've created, and it makes him want to reach out. You didn't chase him. You gave him room to want you more. This is where emotional space becomes your superpower. The absence of constant presence doesn't mean you're not important to him. It means you're giving him the opportunity to appreciate you and miss you. And trust me, he will miss you. But only if you let him. If you're always available, it's easy for him to take you for granted. But when you create that space, he starts to think about the moments you shared, about how amazing you were. And guess what? He can't get you off his mind. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what if I give him space and he forgets about me? What if he thinks I'm not interested? Here's where the wisdom of Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, said the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What does that mean? It means that when you let go of the need to control the situation or force things to happen, that's when things naturally unfold. By pulling back, you're not letting him slip away. You're creating an environment where he has to step up, where he has to come back to you. You're not making yourself available at all times. You're allowing him the space to think and act. Think about it. Have you ever had a friend who was always available, always saying yes to everything, never leaving room for their own life or energy? Maybe you admired their kindness, but did you ever truly feel excited to spend time with them? Now imagine a friend who has their own life going on, who's doing interesting things. Suddenly they become more intriguing. You want to see them more, be around them more, because they don't need your attention constantly. Their life feels full, and that's attractive. Now, this doesn't mean you disappear or ignore him. It's all about finding that balance, giving space without disappearing completely. The key takeaway here, when you give a man space, you create an emotional void that he will want to fill. Think of it as a healthy pause that allows both of you to reconnect in a way that feels fresh, exciting, and full of anticipation. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about letting him feel the absence of your energy so that when you come back into the picture, it's even more powerful. So here's your affirmation for today. I'm the space he craves. Write it in the comments, shout it out loud, and remind yourself that you're not chasing anyone. You're becoming the woman who attracts, who draws him in with your energy, your life, and your presence. And trust me, this is just the beginning. Wait until you hear what's coming next. You won't want to miss it. Number 2, mystery and anticipation, the art of the unspoken. Let's talk about something that can really keep a man on his toes. Mystery. Think about your favorite mystery series on Netflix. The more episodes you watch, the more you're hooked, right? Why? Because you never know exactly what's coming next. Every twist, every plot development keeps you coming back for more. You can't wait to find out what happens in the next episode. And guess what? The same principle applies to relationships. When you leave some things to the imagination, it creates curiosity. It's like you're building a story he wants to keep reading, but he's not getting every chapter all at once. Instead of knowing everything about you right away, he has to fill in the blanks. A man will start to wonder what's she doing, who's she with, what's next for her, what's next for us. When there's mystery, there's excitement, and excitement creates anticipation. Napoleon Hill once said, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Now you might be wondering, how does this relate to mystery? Well, think about it. Every time you hold something back, not revealing everything all at once, you're creating a sense of anticipation. The unknown is powerful. It builds attraction in a way that giving too much information never could. Just like a failure or setback can lead to a new opportunity, not laying all your cards on the table can spark a deeper connection. The emotional power of leaving some things unsaid or unknown fuels the kind of desire that only grows over time. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine this. He texts you and asks, "What are you doing tonight?" Now, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm just staying in watching TV," you reply with, "I'm out with friends, but we'll see where the night takes me." Boom. You've just created a mental cliffhanger. He starts to wonder, what does she mean? Where is she going? Who is she with? Why is she keeping it a secret? Suddenly, instead of just being another part of his routine, you've become an intriguing mystery. And that's something that's impossible to ignore. When you master the art of mystery, you turn ordinary moments into emotionally charged experiences. You don't need to be secretive or deceptive, but just like in the best stories, the magic lies in not giving everything away at once. That curiosity you spark, that sense of what's next, pulls him in and keeps him thinking about you long after the conversation is over. Now, here's a key takeaway for you. Leave room for curiosity. Let him wonder. Let him fill in the blanks. Don't be afraid to let him imagine what's going on in your life, what you're up to, or what your next move is. Mystery is not about playing games. It's about giving him space to think, to feel, and to miss you more. When a man has to chase your thoughts instead of knowing them all at once, the attraction naturally grows. So let's end with a fun affirmation. I am the mystery he can't resist. Write that in the comments, claim your power, and remember, mystery makes you unforgettable. Now get ready for what's coming next. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Number 3, emotional resilience, why you don't need to chasing him. Let's talk about something that's incredibly attractive, emotional resilience. Ever noticed how you feel more drawn to someone when they're emotionally stable? When they handle life's ups and downs with grace, without letting every little thing knock them off course? Well, guess what? The same thing applies in relationships. A man doesn't want to feel like he's carrying all the emotional weight in the relationship. He doesn't want to be your emotional crutch. When you stand on your own, when you have your own inner strength, you naturally draw him in. It's like being a magnet, strong, steady, and grounded. Emotional resilience is powerful, and it makes him want to stick around. Napoleon Hill once said, "What we can do or what we think we can do, we do." This speaks volumes about emotional independence. When you believe in your own worth and value without constantly needing validation, you become unstoppable. You don't need someone to reassure you that you're doing okay. You know you are. That quiet confidence, the inner knowing that you've got this, is incredibly magnetic. A man doesn't need to hold your hand through every emotional storm. He wants to see you stand strong no matter what life throws at you. And when you do that, when you're emotionally self-sufficient, that's what keeps him coming back for more. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you've had a tough day at work. Maybe you've been dealing with a challenging situation, feeling stressed and drained. Now, instead of immediately texting him for comfort, asking for a pep talk, or seeking validation, you handle it with grace. You take care of yourself. Maybe you take a walk, meditate, or chat with a friend. You don't need him to fix it for you. That's attractive. Why? Because you're showing him that you can take care of yourself, that you don't rely on anyone to save you. You're independent and strong, and that's not something many people can easily find. When he sees that, he's intrigued. He's drawn to your strength, your resilience, and your ability to handle life's challenges without feeling helpless. The key takeaway here is this: emotional independence is magnetic. You don't need to chase him, seek constant reassurance, or be overly needy. Instead, focus on being self-sufficient and watch how that energy draws him in. When you stand tall on your own, you create a space where he wants to meet you, not because he feels obligated, but because he feels like you're the kind of woman who challenges him to be the best version of himself. So here's your affirmation for today. I am strong, independent, and magnetic. Type it out in the comments, claim that power, and remind yourself that you're emotionally resilient. This is just the beginning. Wait until you see what's coming next. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Number 4, the power of self-improvement, making your life unpredictably fulfilling. Let's dive into something that can make you not just more attractive, but truly magnetic. Self-improvement. When you focus on your personal growth, when you're constantly evolving, you don't just become a better version of yourself. You also become far more interesting to the people around you, especially to a man who is paying attention. Imagine this. You're learning something new, whether it's a language, a hobby, or working toward a personal goal. You're thriving, growing, and becoming more dynamic. When he sees this, he's not just admiring your looks or your charm. He's admiring your energy, your passion, and your drive. You've turned your life into a fascinating story, and he's intrigued by where the next chapter is going. Here's a little something from Napoleon Hill that hits the nail on the head. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. What does this have to do with relationships? Well, just like success, the little changes you make in your life, whether it's learning a new skill, stepping out of your comfort zone, or simply growing in your own passions, have a massive impact. These small improvements compound over time. And the more you grow, the more you become someone he wants to be around. Let's look at a real-life example. Let's say you've started taking a cooking class or diving into some self-improvement books. You mention it to him casually. Maybe you tell him how much fun it was to try a new recipe, or how inspired you are by a book you're reading. What's really happening is that you're making your life more interesting, more fulfilling. And what happens? You've made your own journey something exciting, and he can't help but want to be part of it. Not because you're showing off, but because you're living a life full of energy and purpose. And that's magnetic. When you focus on growing, on being the best version of yourself, you create an energy that attracts others, especially him. And guess what? It's contagious. When you're evolving and improving, people can't help but want to be around you. It's not just about impressing him with the latest thing you've done. It's about showing him that you're always striving to be better, to experience more, to make your life unpredictable and fulfilling. Here's the key takeaway: always be growing. When you invest in yourself, when you focus on personal growth and improvement, you become more valuable in his eyes. You're no longer just someone he's dating. You're someone who has a life full of potential, full of energy, full of excitement. And trust me, that's the kind of person he'll be thinking about long after you're apart. So here's your affirmation: I am constantly growing, and that makes me irresistible. Write it in the comments, claim that power, and remind yourself that your growth is your magnetism. Now buckle up, because what's coming next is going to take this to a whole new level. You won't want to miss it. Number 5, the sweet spot, knowing when to pull back. Let's talk about something that might sound counterintuitive, but trust me, it works. The power of absence. Ever gone on vacation, spent some time away from home, and suddenly found yourself missing the familiar comfort of your own space? The absence makes your heart grow fonder, right? The same thing happens in relationships. When you're constantly around, when your presence is always there, the excitement starts to fade. But when you give a little space, when you pull back just enough, that's when the heart starts to long for you again. It's like a breath of fresh air. The absence creates room for the longing, and that longing is what makes him miss you even more. Napoleon Hill once said, "Patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success." What does that have to do with pulling back in a relationship? Well, sometimes pulling back requires patience. You can't rush the process. Let him miss you. Give him time to think about how much he enjoys being around you. Your absence isn't about playing games. It's about creating space for him to realize how much he values your presence. And guess what? He'll start to crave it. Your absence will make him realize just how much he misses the way you make him feel. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you've just had an amazing weekend together. You had fun, you laughed, you felt the chemistry. It was great. Now, instead of texting him nonstop throughout the week, you let him have his space. You don't immediately reach out to keep the connection alive. You let him feel your absence. And what happens? He starts to miss you. He starts to think about the way you make him feel, the energy you bring into the room. And before you know it, he's reaching out more than before, wanting to reconnect, wanting to see you again. The key takeaway here is this: sometimes pulling back is the best way to make him feel your presence even more. Absence creates space for longing. It gives him time to reflect on how much he enjoys being with you and how much he misses that connection. Without this space, relationships can feel like they're moving too fast, too predictably, but when you pull back just a little, you let the relationship breathe, and that makes him want to come closer. So here's your affirmation for today: my absence makes him crave me. Write it in the comments, claim your power, and remember that giving space doesn't mean you're losing connection. You're simply creating a deeper one. And guess what? There's even more magic ahead. Stay tuned for what's coming next. Number 6, the ultimate secret, cultivating a magnetic energy. Let's dive into the ultimate secret to making a man miss you. Cultivating a magnetic energy. Here's the truth. A man doesn't miss a woman because of what she does. He misses her because of how she makes him feel. Think about it. When you radiate positive energy, confidence, and peace, it's almost impossible for him to resist coming back to that energy. You become the woman he wants to be around, not because you're constantly chasing him, but because you're living your life in a way that draws him in effortlessly. Imagine this: you're like the sun, he's the moon, naturally drawn to the warmth and light you give off. But here's the catch: you don't have to chase him for it. The sun doesn't chase the moon, it simply shines. And guess what? The moon orbits around it because it's drawn to the light. That's the kind of magnetic energy you want to create. An energy that naturally attracts without forcing anything, without overextending yourself. You want to be the kind of woman who, when she walks into a room, people are drawn to her presence, her vibe, her calm and confident energy. Napoleon Hill's words come to mind here. A goal is a dream with a deadline. Your goal in any relationship should be to create an atmosphere of attraction, a vibe that draws him in without trying too hard. When you live with purpose, when you're focused on becoming the best version of yourself, you set the deadline for your dreams to become a reality. You don't have to chase after him. Your magnetic energy will pull him closer. This doesn't mean you stop being yourself. It means you start showing up as the best version of yourself. You live your life with passion, purpose, and confidence, and that's what makes you irresistible. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're at a party, enjoying yourself, laughing with friends, and having a blast. You're completely content in your own company, and it shows. You're not seeking validation. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're simply in your element. You're the sun, radiating your warmth and energy. Now, when he sees you, he can't help but be drawn to your light. It's not that you're doing anything special to catch his attention, but your energy is magnetic. He wants to be around you, to be a part of that positive, confident aura you're putting out into the world. You didn't chase him. You just shined. The key takeaway here is this: cultivate a magnetic energy. Be confident, live your best life, and don't chase him. Instead, let him chase the energy you radiate. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you naturally draw the right people to you, especially the man who recognizes that your energy is something worth being around. So here's your affirmation for today. I am the energy he craves. Write it in the comments, say it out loud, and remind yourself that you don't need to chase love. Love will come to you because of the energy you put into the world. And there you have it. By understanding the power of emotional space, cultivating mystery, building emotional resilience, focusing on personal growth, and radiating a magnetic energy, you're well on your way to creating a relationship that is both fulfilling and irresistible. Remember, you don't need to chase love. When you live your best life, it will naturally be drawn to you. So go ahead and apply these principles and watch how things shift in your love life. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who could use a little extra love advice today.